Ladies and gentlemen, what is up? Welcome back for another episode of the best, fastest growing real life podcast on the market. If you're here today just for my guest, or maybe you stumbled onto us by mistake, that's fine. That's fine. It doesn't change anything. You are in the right place. I promise you. We're trying to create something good here, something that's encouraging, yet challenging and entertaining all at the same time. And let me tell you, I got a good one for you today. Allow me to do an epic build-up and see if I can't hype this guest up a little bit, okay? There is something truly remarkable going on in Chicago right now. In my opinion, it's probably the biggest, most positive thing happening in the entire country. Honest to God truth right there. Some of you may remember in episode 43 with my buddies Jim and Dale, I offered an example of what I think would be a much better use of tax dollars than universal basic income to try and help people. And I made a reference to a certain pastor in Chicago who has a burden and a vision to help anyone and everyone who is in need in his community get their lives on the right track. Whether that's getting out of poverty, getting off of drugs, getting out of gangs, or successfully reintegrating into the community after incarceration, all by showing Christ-like love, offering real, authentic community and helping them acquire the skills and education needed to provide for themselves and contribute to their community in a positive way. Our guest today is the founder of Project H.O.O.D, which stands for Help Others Obtain Destiny. You can check out his background right now. I love that. That is an awesome brand right there. Somebody in marketing, they just nailed it with that one. Which it focuses on the power of education and mentorship and community development to break that cycle of poverty and create a brighter future and better opportunity for all. But then it got real. God gave him the vision to construct one central location that would create an environment with all the resources and opportunities for some serious life change. A leadership and economic opportunities center that has everything from swimming pool, theater, gymnasium, the fun stuff to draw people in, get them off the streets, to classrooms, meeting spaces for all the job fairs and educational opportunities and community events. But we all know money talks, doesn't it? It sure does. And this pastor wasn't waiting around for the government funds to make his dream become a reality. He wasn't asking his church to go millions and millions into debt either. So he got to work. What do we call that? Putting your money where your mouth is? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
This pastor spent 340 some nights on a rooftop in Chicago trying to raise money and raise awareness of what his vision was. And did I mention he wanted to follow the biblical principles and do this debt-free? It sure caught my attention a couple of years ago while reading a Fox News article. And I wished more of the mainstream media had picked up on this besides WGN right there in Chicago. I have no idea why all the big ones, and I'm going to name drop them, CNN, NBC, MSNBC, all of you. Why would you not want to cover one of the most positive, uplifting, empowering things going on in the country? I don't know. I only saw it on Fox and WGN. I was following almost daily updates. It pretty much was daily online updates. And I was encouraged more and more while watching these guests he'd have come up to discuss things in the community, his efforts, the dollars being put forth to bring this vision to life. But he's just a little bit short. The center's going up. When you look online, you can see it's happening, all right? But he's a little bit short, so now he's doing a Walk Across America campaign. You ain't going to believe this when he tells you about it. I said we had some big things coming this year on the podcast, and this guy is exactly one of those episodes that I was talking about. So it's my privilege to introduce to you guys the founder of Project H.O.O.D and the man behind the master plan of creating the Robert R. McCormick Leadership and Economic Opportunities Center in Chicago, pastor of New Beginnings Church, bringing the old block attitude to this small town Midwest podcast, Pastor Corey Brooks. What is up, man?
Hey, what's up, brother? Thanks for having me on. I'm excited about being on your show and excited to talk about what's up, especially what's up on the south side of Chicago and how we're trying to impact the nation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for everyone out there who said I wasn't diverse, finally got a brother on, okay? And
finally got a brother on.
For any of you out there that are a little shy about, no, this is real life, man. I'm sorry. I don't play the race card. I grew up with plenty of people in Louisiana, black people.
Absolutely.
We don't see any of that. We don't play those games here, so you can take that somewhere else. Yeah, man, so obviously I was just following you online, just being encouraged by everything you were doing, because it's just two different worlds. You're inner city Chicago, south side of Chicago. I'm small town, population less than 1,000 here and but we're in ministry. We're trying to reach people with the
Absolutely.
gospel, help people. It's the same thing. That's what the church is. Church ain't a building. It's all of us believers and followers. We need to be followers. And man, it's just encouraging to see what you're doing. But we were scheduled to record back in April, and so we got to just divulge some of this information for the people to really appreciate this episode finally coming together. Right before we were going to record, I think we were recording on a Friday night or a Saturday, and your assistant called me and she said, "You ain't going to believe this, Bubba. I'm so sorry. The New York Stock Exchange called, and Pastor Brooks
Yeah.
and some of us, we got to go." I was like, "Oh, I understand. Absolutely. Go ahead."
Right. Right.
You got to, so you rang the opening bell, right?
Yeah, so we rang the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange, and it was one of the high moments of my life to be able to have our team ring the bell and be able to meet a whole bunch of corporate people. It was a great time in New York City.
Man, I was watching it on YouTube. I think Crystal sent me a link or told me where to watch it or whatever. And I was like, I got to see this, man. Seeing the Project H.O.O.D, just, it was
Yeah.
on every screen in there, every screen.
Yeah, it was amazing, and it was a great opportunity for me, myself, and but most of all, it was a exciting time for our team and some of our board members to be able to experience it, especially some of our board members who are big corporate guys, for them to have the opportunity to be with Project H.O.O.D and to ring the bell and give them some bragging rights to their friends. It was a good moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can appreciate that. And then, so I'm following you on social media. That is the benefit of social media these days is you can stay in touch and you can be encouraged and you can see what's going on. There's a dark side to it for sure, but following
Sure.
you, man, next up, you were going to Zimbabwe with your youth group. Give me a brief
Yeah.
summary on that because I got a couple questions.
Yeah, so one of our things is exposure for our kids. A lot of times, our kids, people won't believe it, but a lot of them have not left their immediate neighborhoods to go places. Some of them have never been out of the city. A lot of them, most of them, have never been out of the state. And
Mhm.
so, to give these kids exposure to go to another country is a great opportunity. So we wanted to make sure that we took a bunch of kids from our neighborhood, take them to Zimbabwe so they can be exposed to some kids who don't have that much, but they love the Lord and they're excited about life. And, hopefully it would give them a chance to see how people are living in other parts of the world and hopefully it gives them the opportunity to change their lives and have something to live about and talk about for the rest of their lives. So it was an exciting time. We took 30 kids to Zimbabwe and we spent 10 days over there. We have to take it. We took them on a safari. That was really
Yeah.
interesting, especially when it started turning dark. To have a bunch of city kids out in the safari was very interesting,
Ooh.
to
Ooh.
say the least. But we had a great time and a great learning experience, and it's something that I'm hoping we can continue to do.
Absolutely. The pictures look great. Yeah. Anytime you can, I mean, it's good for kids too, because their world is so small at a young age. You open that up, you broaden those horizons. But sometimes us adults need that reality check too, as well. So I love that stuff.
Absolutely.
All right. I got to ask you, I'm like, the lion is that's my thing. The lion is my thing. Jesus, the Lion of Judah. That's my favorite name for
Yeah,
Jesus. The picture of you actually walking and you had your hand on one, didn't you?
absolutely. You know, I only did it because I saw someone do it before me, so I wanted to make sure that the lion was safe. But yeah, I got the opportunity to walk with the lion, hold the lion's tail, rub the lion, lay with the lion, and I will say that was a very tense but exciting time. I was a little fearful at first, but once you start walking and you see that the lion is pretty tame, and it was an exciting time, and that was an experience that I never will forget.
Oh, I bet not. You could tell me a lion is tame all day. I'm not going to reach out and touch him. No
I
way.
know, right?
My buddy, my buddy, I just interviewed a guy who's pretty big into conservation and hunting and wildlife up here, and he said he wants to be like the 1% club. He wants to do things that you get 100 people lined up. He's one out of 100 people that actually did that. And I was thinking, boy, touching a lion while not in a zoo, while walking on a safari, Pastor Brooks,
Yeah,
that's a 1% moment right there, my man.
that's definitely a 1% moment, brother. I tell you. And we also got a lot of the kids got the chance to walk with the lion too, so it was good for them. A great experience.
Yeah. And then I saw, so you're trying to bring aid and different things to help better the life of some of the kids in that part of the world as well. You're bringing laptops, or you got more coming. You're always doing
Yeah.
something to help them.
Absolutely. We took laptops this time, and our goal is for Christmas to take more laptops over there. Hopefully, we can get some bikes because transportation is so difficult in Zimbabwe, and kids having bikes is a big thing.
Okay.
So we're going to get computers and bikes and be a blessing to the schools that are there. Zimbabwe is having a really tough time. Um, they have transitioned over the years, and that transition has not been a great transition. Zimbabwe used to be the breadbasket of Africa as far as agriculture and
Okay.
the farmers, and they fed a lot of Africa. And now those farms have been taken control by government, and as a consequence, they're ruining it. And so prices are sky high. Even while we were there on our way out, they were planning a coup. And so we had to hurry up and get out, and our plane was delayed because of that. But we were thankful because they were saying the next day it was going to happen. And the gas stations were full, the grocery stores, people had bought out everything. So we got out just in a right amount of time.
Man. Yeah, that's sometimes people think we got it bad. I mean, yes, live in a place where stability is not a sure thing, you know. I mean, I guess it's not really anywhere when you think about it, but yeah,
Absolutely.
that's interesting. All right. So some more stuff that you got going on, launching your own podcast, trying to compete with me, stepping into my No, I'm kidding. I'm
I
kidding.
wish I had your name. I love the name. What is up? I was
What is
like,
up, man?
man, one of the ways I measure if something is good is when I wish I had a came up with that idea. What is up is like the perfect name. And so, yeah, I'm going to do a podcast, but hopefully my name, I don't know what we're going to call it yet, but I'm hoping and praying that we'll get something as just as good as the name that you have. It's a great name.
Well, that's funny you say that because either I read something somewhere or maybe your assistant divulged some information that it was still in the works because I heard a possible name of From the Rooftop.
Yeah, we've been
That
talking
been
about calling it
settled?
from the rooftop. No, it's not settled yet.
Okay.
Um, and we thought about doing podcasts from different rooftops across America. So I don't know. We're not we haven't settled on the name yet.
Okay. Okay. Rumors of a book. You're writing a book too?
I'm in the process of writing a book. The book is going to be, we don't have the title to the book yet, but the first chapter is finally completed.
All right.
Uh, and we've been working on it for some time. We have an outline of what we're going to talk about and write about. And hopefully we should be done early next year. That's the goal, but
Okay.
it's going to be a really good book. And we've sent the first chapter out to quite a few people, and people seem to be loving it. It's a page turner, they say. So
All right.
it's going to be really good.
I look forward to it. Look forward to it. Okay. And the other thing you got going on is this Walk Across America campaign. I hinted to it in the intro. That's something I've had to add to your show notes because that came up between when we were first trying to get recorded and now some stuff has changed. So some of this stuff may seem out of order, but Walk Across America campaign, we'll get into it real deep, but tell us a little bit about it right here.
Yeah, so because we don't depend on government, we have to be creative in making sure that we raise funds to do the things that we want to do. But beyond raising funds, we want to make sure that we have a message that resonates with Americans, not just on the south side of Chicago, but in the rural parts of America as well.
Mhm.
So we're walking across America to restore merit, to restore faith and family. And we're going to hopefully, our goal is to bring revival in areas that have been forgotten. One of the things that we say is that we believe that every block can make a comeback, whether it's in the cities or in the rural counties. And so we're going to take the message of Jesus Christ and we're going to go on a mission. We feel like it's a calling. It's not just something that we're doing. We're
Mhm.
called to do it. And it's ministry for me. And we're going to minister to people across the country. And at the same time, tell them everything that we're trying to do. And hopefully people's hearts will respond and they'll be generous. But it's going to be a 1 year walk, September the 1st, New York Times Square. We're going to leave out from New York, and it's going to take us one whole year to get to Los Angeles, California.
Man. I will be following it. Before we started recording, I'll tell the audience he invited me to be a part of it. So if we can make that happen, I will take
Absolutely.
advantage of that. So yeah, what is up podcast? We're going places. We're just
That's
hitching our
right.
wagon to other people who are doing big things. But
Hey, that's what you got to do.
so with all of that stuff we just talked about, on top of just being a pastor, a shepherd of your own flock right there in Chicago, where you got to be willing to go through the highs and lows with everybody in your congregation and care about the people that, you know, don't care about your church, but you're trying to reach all of that stuff along top of being a pastor. Why say yes to this small time podcast? That's what I want to know.
You know, God has given everybody gift, skills, and abilities. And brother, we're part of the body of Christ. And so there are no big I's and little U's. There, we're all part of the body. And so significance is in God's hand. It's up to us to partner with like-minded people, with other believers, to communicate the gospel of Jesus Christ and to help give people hope. And you never know where that's going to come from. And so, I could care less that if your podcast reached 10 people or 10 million people. What's important to me is that you're a believer and we share some of the same values and we care about some of the same things. And that's what unites us. And so you're my brother in Christ. And so I had to, if my brother needs me, you got to rush, you got to be there,
I
and
love it.
appreciate it.
I love it. I love it. I don't get when I reach out to people on Instagram or whatever, some of the bigger name people, you get no response. Some of the people with an assistant, you might get a response and a polite decline. Some people are just too big and they cost too much money. And I'm like, no, no, I'm not. If you responded, quick phone call, got in touch with your assistant. We made that happen. And I want to talk about Crystal for a minute because I've had a lot of interaction with her over the
Right.
last few months since April. And here's how she answered that question. I kind of posed it to her, or I actually didn't ask it to her. This came up in conversation. And she basically said, Pastor Brooks, Project H.O.O.D, New Beginnings Church, there's kind of a motto of each one, reach one kind of thing. Why would we not want to take advantage of any opportunity we could to do that? And she said, your podcast is going to be one of those opportunities. And I was like, man, that she just encouraged me, Crystal, that a girl. So I told Crystal I was going to give her a shout out on here uh,
Absolutely.
for everything she does behind the scenes and to make this happen. So a little bit of what I can relate to with what you said right there is like, the What Is Up title. It's what is up. Okay. It's just what people say when they're talking. It's
Yeah,
also what I say when you look around the world today and you say, man, there's some stuff that happened in the last 5 years that it's just absolutely nuts and people couldn't understand this, that. You don't know what to trust. You don't know what to believe. It's like, what is up with some of this stuff? So you start asking questions and you got to get back to having conversations with people, whether you agree or disagree. There's a way to still have conversation. And when we're willing to have those conversations with people, I try and tell them my audience, they're not all believers. They are majority now because I had a pretty prominent Christian on earlier, Phil Robertson's daughter. And so our
absolutely.
channel kind of blew up. A lot of Christians coming in. I can tell because of the comments they leave, very positive, stuff like that. But a lot of my audience in the beginning was not Christian. This is entertainment. It's talking to anybody, average Joe in my small town, or it could be somebody big. If I can get somebody big, it'd be a Christian, could not be. Doesn't matter to me. But when you start having those conversations, I'm always going to put the Christian worldview alongside whatever my guest is saying and just show
Sure.
what did John MacArthur say? He said the Bible, the gospel is not something you need to defend. It's a lie. And you just let it out. And I
Yes,
just say, look at what's happened in the world today. When we start having those conversations and show people the things you had just said, how does that stack up against what we see the culture says or the world offers today? I think the Bible, the biblical example, a life of a Christian doing the things a Christian's supposed to do, I think it stacks up head and shoulders better than anything man has ever come up with.
for
So
sure.
I love the way you put that. That's definitely it. Just getting out there, showing people. So that walk across America, hopefully you open some eyes out there and try and show people
Hopefully.
Christians aren't a bunch of weirdos, man. We like football, we like sports, we like fast cars, we like big trucks, we like all the different things, but we're passionate about getting people in a relationship with the Lord for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, before we do a deep dive into your vision, church, Project H.O.O.D, the center, tell us a little bit about who you are apart from that stuff, like family, hobbies, interests, spare time, if you got any, that kind of stuff.
So, I tell people I'm just a country boy from who lives in the city. I grew up in a little town called Kenton, Tennessee.
All
Uh,
right.
it's the home of the white squirrel for people who don't know. I tell people I thought all squirrels were white until I got till we moved to Muncie, Indiana, and I got in my first fight on the playground because I saw this animal and I asked what was it. I thought it was a rat or something. The little boy was like, "No, it's a squirrel," and I'm like, "No, squirrels are white." And he's like, no, that was a brown squirrel. And we got into a fight over it. And I discovered that, you know, all squirrels are not white. But in
No.
this town of Kenton, Tennessee, where I was born and raised, we had the white squirrel. So we moved to Muncie, Indiana when I was about 11. And I grew up my teenage years in Muncie, Indiana, played sports at Muncie Central High School, went on to college, played college basketball before transferring back to Ball State University and deciding that I didn't want to play basketball anymore and fully devoted my life to Jesus Christ and started ministering and learning how to be a preacher. And from there, my life just kind of took off. Went from Ball State University to the University of Florida Law School for a year. And I realized I should have gone to seminary. I didn't have any business being in law school. And I went to Dallas Theological Seminary and stayed there before I got called the pastor. And then I got married to my lovely wife, Delilah. We have 4 kids. I have 3 grandkids. And God is really blessing us on the south side of Chicago. I'm a sports fan. I love the Cubs. I love the Bulls. I love the Bears. I love the White Sox too. But
Okay.
but most of all, I love ministering and I love pastoring and being on the south side and one of the toughest areas in America. That's the joy of my heart. That to know that God could have picked anybody, and placed them on the south side of Chicago, people who have better gifts and people who are more talented and skilled. But for whatever reason, God loved me enough and graced me enough and anointed me enough to pick me to be on the south side of Chicago in a neighborhood that desperately needs the gospel and desperately needs transformation. And that's the thing that gives me joy the most.
Yeah. 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 We talked about that in our, for those who don't know, if you haven't been a guest, from day one, every interview I open with prayer with the guest in private before we hit record. And that's one of the things I always say, God, you've always used imperfect people to do great things.
Sure.
And
Yes.
you know what I mean? I love that. I love that. But some people, you got to give yourself a little bit of credit because some people, they might feel that calling and they just, no, no, not for me. That's, I need my comfort zone.
Yeah.
You stepped out of it, man, and you didn't look back. And now, yeah, you're doing
And,
things, man. You're doing things. I
it's
love it.
it's funny you say that. I think God gave me a certain grace to be able to have a great amount of faith. And I think one of my gifts is faith.
Okay.
And accepting God's call and taking the risk and going to a neighborhood that everybody else would probably reject. Most pastors would probably rather have a suburban church with a nice house and a picket fence, but we chose the hood and we chose not just the hood, but I tell people the hood of hoods.
Yeah.
A very tough part of America. And God graced me to do that. And I know it was no one but God. And so, because who else could take a little country boy and put him in that type of environment and he just feel at home. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's awesome. See what I'm telling you guys? I'm telling you guys, man, this stuff's in the Bible. It stacks up, man. How else would that work out? Take a country boy from Tennessee, put him in Chicago, and you know what I mean? People in Chicago know if you got street cred or not.
for
This guy
sure.
comes in, plants himself, shows love for people, which is what we're called to do, tells the truth, shares the gospel. It works. If you want to
Yeah.
accept it and receive it, it works. It's up to you. We ain't gonna force it on you though. All right. So I gotta pause here because I gotta ask you. Growing up, I didn't hear anything about boxing. But
Oh,
now that I follow your social media, and I have been, and so I'm encouraging everybody else right now, go follow Pastor at Corey B. Brooks. Don't follow that other Corey Brooks. I don't know who that is. I think I made that mistake the first couple weeks, but it's Corey B. Brooks. Follow at Project H.O.O.D. Follow New Beginnings Church, and we'll repeat those a couple different times. But I saw
okay.
some pictures that had something to do with, like, I basically got in my notes here some old man parking lot boxing pictures. What
Ah,
was that beef with that guy? What was going on? There's an inside story. We got
so
to hear it.
So, all the guys in the neighborhood joke because I tell them when I was young, I used to box and they don't believe me. So I'm like, no, I really did used to box. And so this particular time I think that you're talking about was a big, we call him Tunchi, Big Tony.
Okay.
He was like, man, you didn't box, you didn't box. I'm like, yeah, I really did box. And somewhere somebody had gloves and they're like, let's put the gloves on Pastor and Big Tony. And I'm like, I really don't want to do this to Tony. He's much younger than I am. I'm 17 years older than him, but my hands are still quick. And so
Teach him a
so
lesson.
we so we put on the gloves and we had a little sparring session and just touched him up just a little bit.
Okay. I can appreciate that, man. You don't want to box with someone who's even just the amateur level. If they spent
Yeah,
time regularly in a gym and were at the amateur level, I worked out with a guy once when I was getting in shape. He could tag me whenever he wanted. He
yeah,
could
yeah.
slip anything. If you didn't come from boxing, you got no business stepping in the ring with a boxer.
That's
That's
right. Feet placement and all of that is important. I knew right from the start when he placed his feet and when he let me place my feet, I already knew I'm going to jab in and hook
he's
him.
in trouble.
It's going to be over. It's going to be real quick.
Oh man, I like the old man reference too, though. My kid the other day, he's big offensive lineman for our high school here for the football team and everything, and he put on a lot of weights in the off season, and we got big hopes and dreams, and I
Right.
don't know if it was his birthday or my birthday or something, and somehow we ended up arm wrestling. Just had to show him, hey. And what's the first thing he said? When everyone in the family looked at him like, JJ, you let dad beat you? And he goes, that's old man strength.
Oh
That's
man,
not
strength.
fair.
That's right.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we got that cleared up. That's good stuff right there. All right. Let's talk about present day life a little bit. Pastor at New Beginnings Church, Chicago. Again, everyone out there, you can see clips, you can see reels. They got a good social media person there handling all that stuff. So you can see the ins and outs of what it looks like in there, worship music and all that stuff and what they're doing. So what's that like for you, man?
I love Pastor in New Beginnings Church. We tell people we have a contemporary, creative, credible ministry where we're really trying to reach people who are on the margins. Our church is all about reaching people who have been turned off by church or who have never had an experience with church. And so it's a very, I don't want to use the word seeker sensitive, but it's a very spirit sensitive church
Okay.
where we're trying to make sure that we reach people who are from the trenches and who
Yeah.
have had a difficult time in life. And I love the church. We're really big on hospitality. If you come to our church, we tell people if you see a visitor and that visitor leaves and they haven't received 5 good hugs and 5 we're glad you're here and thanks for being, then we haven't done our job. So we're really big on hospitality. We're really big on discipleship, trying to make sure that people understand Christ and why we do what we do. And I can't tell of any better experience than pastoring the church. But I absolutely love it, and I wouldn't want to be pastoring anywhere else in the world.
I love it. I love it. See what I mean? You can take that church in Chicago and our little tiny little Baptist church in the corner of small town Iowa. It's the same thing. You see a new face
Absolutely.
walk in, you better make sure don't you let them leave without going over there and let them know
Right.
who you are, introduce yourself, all that stuff. Let them feel welcome. But you don't, when you say seeker sensitive, I understand exactly what you're saying, but you still get back to the gospel. The seeker
Absolutely.
sensitive churches that get it wrong, it becomes all about just get them in, just get them in, get them
No, no.
tithing, get them here.
Yeah.
But
It's about the gospel taking root in your life, helping you to transform your life so that you can do the gifts that God has given you to help the body of Christ and advance the kingdom. If
absolutely,
if you're our church is all that's what we're all about. We want to teach you how to use your gifts and we want you to help to transform the kingdom.
Yeah, I love to hear stuff like that, man. I tell you what, I know what's going to happen if I get back to Chicago for a Cubs game or something. I'm going to make sure it's a weekend stay. You probably won't be in town. Who knows?
Oh no,
Oh,
hey, if you get all you got to do is make it to Chicago. We'll take good care of you. You and
all
the
right.
family. You got family here in Chicago, brother. We're gonna hang
What's
out
it?
and have some fun.
I love it. What's everyone in your congregation going to do when they turn around and say, "Is that white guy Pastor Brooks was
Oh
talking?"
no, they're used to it. We
Good.
have we have quite a few white people who join our church and members who attend our church. So no, they're
I got
you
you.
even though we're in the hood, there's some white brothers that come through. So you'll
I
be
love it.
okay.
We got a pastor right here in one of our bigger cities. They make jokes about Waterloo, Iowa, say it's kind of like little Chicago. And we got Pastor Q at Hope City Church, and he spent some time incarcerated and stuff. And he comes out, and you can just tell he's kind of bringing that same message to try and get people in and hear a gospel Christ centered message and how it can change your life and how the Christian walk's supposed to go. And you guys got a lot of similarities as well.
Awesome.
So that's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's talk about Project H.O.O.D for a minute as we try and get towards the end of your part one here. Like I said, I love the name. I love the logo, looks good, but I just love the name. Help others obtain destiny. That's really at the root of me inviting you to be on this episode because when I had that discussion with Jim and Dale, I was like, listen to the sound of that. Help others obtain destiny.
Yeah,
You really think given every American, and I love Jim Gillespie, buddy, you know I do, but he did the math and he said, if we gave everybody $1,500, don't you think that would help end poverty? Everybody from the poorest of the poor to Donald Trump. And I just said, it probably would do some good for some people. I'm not going to argue that. But overall, I think it would be more of a harm compared to what the good we could actually do when you have that help others obtain destiny mindset.
absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly that, once you start handing out entitlements to people and people become dependent upon government to fix their lives, you're doomed. That's the reason why we created Project Hood, because we wanted the opportunity to make sure that we show people that, listen, you don't have to depend on government. You can take responsibility for your life. Yes, you may need some assistance. Yes, you may need some aid,
Mhm.
but you can take responsibility for your life. And if organizations like ours come alongside and assist you, you can be transformational. And not only for you, but for generations to come. And that's what it's really all about. So, yeah, $1,500 to every American is not going to do a lot. But invest those funds in organizations that have proven that they have a model that works will do way more than $1,500 for an American could ever do.
Yeah. And I'll say this, Jim nailed it though. When I brought up your example, I said, well, how about we take that money and we set up centers like this? How about we have this mindset, help other people, teach them how to fish rather than give them the fish,
Absolutely.
teach them how to fish. Follow the biblical model is what I told them. Help those who need the help. That's our biblical model. Help the widows and orphans, so to speak. The ones who can't help themselves, we help them. But those who can do, the Bible says if you can do and you don't eat.
Right.
That's you're not supposed
Right.
to be a drain, right? But he said, Bubba, there isn't a Pastor Brooks in every town in America or every city that's got people who need help. There is no. And I said, well, that's the problem.
Yeah. We got
We
to.
asked the government, we've kind of made the government to stand in the gap that the church is supposed to be in.
I believe that wholeheartedly. There was a pastor who used to say that the local church is the hope of the world. I believe that if we can get churches to be more transformational, it is about the gospel, Jesus Christ first and foremost. But we also have to take that gospel to help people to transform their lives. And if that means that we have to help them create skills or get skills to take care of themselves so that the kingdom can be advanced, then that's exactly what we need to do. So the church is first and foremost, and I'm hoping and praying. That's one of the things one of the reasons why I'm doing the walk across America, because I want to get in touch with more pastors and churches who want to do some of the things that we do, but they just may not know how, or they need to be inspired to do it or encouraged to do it. And that's one of the things I really believe God has placed up in my heart to help churches and pastors to know that they can make a difference in their communities. It may have to take some risk, and it may take a lot of faith, and it may take a lot of hard work, and everybody may think that it can't be done, but one pastor and one church can make a whole lot of difference.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
One believer without who just believes and has faith can make a whole lot of difference. Not
Oh
just a
yeah.
pastor, not just a church, but one believer can do one believer with God can make a drastic difference.
That's right. People want somebody like that. If they got a leader or someone with that infectious faith, vision, anything like that, people will get behind it. If they know God's in it and that's who they're following, they'll follow that for sure. It'll spread. I,
Absolutely.
when I was reading about Project H.O.O.D, man, I just love the emphasis on education, mentoring, community. You were big on community. Have a little pride, take responsibility or accountability for yourself. Have some pride in being a member of your community. Man, it's such a message that needs to be heard all across the country today. It's such a great message. So I hope as you're doing the walk across America, man, I hope it blows up. I hope it blows up. I got a
I do
feeling I'll be
too.
making a donation as soon as we stop recording today. You got me sold, man.
Blessings, man. Thank you so
I'm
much.
in
And
it with you.
spread the word. And like I said, got to have you and your wife come out and join us somewhere across the country. Maybe when we get to down in Louisiana, some of your hometown place,
Oh,
we can get you to come down there and walk a little bit and, have a good time. Walking 12.5 miles every day, Monday through Friday. So, you know, that'll give you got time before I get to Louisiana. I think I'll be in Louisiana, so probably around about July maybe of 2026. So it'll be scorching hot, but you know,
that's it, man. That's all right. God does some of his best work through suffering.
I
Suffering, man.
don't.
You're gonna end this walk. You're gonna be about what, 190? Probably.
Hey, I hope so. Then I can wear some skinny jeans.
Bro, then you're
I
gonna
can come to Iowa and get my boots and my hat and, you know, hang out with you.
you're gonna have to hang that "What Is Up" podcast shirt I sent you that I think was like a 2 or 3X. You're just gonna have to hang it up on the wall or something. Be like, yeah, that don't fit no more. Use it as a bath towel, I guess.
Exactly, exactly.
Oh, I love it. Good stuff. Well, that's gonna do it for part one with Chicago's very own Pastor Corey Brooks. Where can people connect with you and follow all the good stuff you're doing with New Beginnings Church, Project H.O.O.D? Give me all the stuff.
Yeah. If people go to projecthood.org, they can tap into all of our social media platforms.
Follow him on social media, Pastor Corey Brooks, Pastor Corey B. Brooks, New Beginnings Church, Project H.O.O.D. It's all on there. You can really see some good content on there as well and stay up to date too. So but yeah, that's it for part one with Corey Brooks. I hope his story and the things he shared encouraged you, maybe even enlightened you or possibly challenged you a little bit. Sometimes I get guys on here who speak the truth a little bit, and maybe we don't want to hear it all the time, but being challenged is a good thing. Doing hard things is good for us. So, my deal. Everyone has a story to tell or an experience to share, and that's what we do here. That's what we do at the What Is Up podcast. We let people share what life has been like for them. But this is not the end of his episode. As he said, there will be a part two next week. We're going to get into his segments. We're going to have some laughs, probably lots of laughs, I'm guessing. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss this in-depth conversation with Pastor Brooks as he shares all the details about his vision, how he had the faith to follow that vision and try and improve the culture and communities on the south side of Chicago. It'll probably be the most powerful, encouraging conversation you've been a part of. I promise you that. A lot of people don't want to have conversation today. I've reached out to multiple people lately to say, hey, let's have a conversation about this. You said this. I want to talk about that. And they just don't want to do it. Don't miss this conversation. This is going to be great. Okay. So if you enjoyed this episode, share it with your family and friends. If you liked it, why not share it, right? Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, share wherever you watch or listen to podcasts, follow our Instagram, all the stuff, Facebook, TikTok. We always put reels out there. I got a good Wapsie Valley High School football reel. It'll probably be out by the time this goes, but hopefully it goes viral. It's epic. We just filmed it yesterday. It's incredible. If you got comments or questions, you want some What Is Up merch or anything like that, email me, whatisuppodcast@gmail.com. I'll respond. If you need help with anything or you want to talk deeper about something you heard here today, reach out. I will respond, help any way I can. If you got something for Pastor Brooks, we'll try and get you in touch with his team if they can provide some sort of support or help or resources for you. If you're in the Chicago area, and I hope some of you listening are, I love new listeners. But if you're in that area and you need some help desperately, or you want to know more about this message of being transformed or having a relationship with Jesus, then stop by New Beginnings Church sometime. Just walk right on in. Check it out for yourself. The proof is in the pudding. Just go in. Thank you guys so much for listening. Your support means everything to me and my family. Lord willing, we'll talk to you on the next one.
I want to thank you for having me on the show. It was really good. And I want to tell everyone, come on back. This is a great podcast and Bubba does a wonderful job. So if you want to know what's up, this is the podcast to check out.
This is where to be, guys. He's telling you. All right.